Walmart used to save people money. Now it makes them work for it. That is the part many shoppers feel before they can explain it. You walk in for the same things you have bought for years. Milk. Groceries for the week. The cart still looks familiar, but the trip does not. One item is locked behind glass. Another price only makes sense if you check the app. A familiar brand is harder to find. The checkout lane has fewer cashiers. The machine freezes. You scan, you bag, you wait. You fix the problem yourself. Then you leave with a receipt that feels heavier than it should. Walmart still says low prices, but the customer is paying in other ways now. Time, labor, confusion, trust. And to understand how America's biggest bargain store changed the deal we have, to go back to what that deal used to be. Walmart was never supposed to feel special. That was not the point. They went because the math worked. That was the old deal. The checkout lines could be long. But when a family reached the register, the receipt usually explained why they came. A cart full of groceries, laundry detergent, cold medicine, a pair of shoes for a child who outgrew the last pair too fast. It was not glamorous. It was useful. For millions of American families, Walmart was not a lifestyle brand. It was a pressure valve. When rent went up, Walmart mattered. When gas went up, Walmart mattered. When a paycheck had to stretch until Friday, Walmart mattered. The promise was simple enough that people did not need to think about it. Come here, spend less. Leave with what you need. That promise built trust. Practical trust. The kind of trust a shopper builds after years of walking into the same store, buying the same basics, and knowing the total will probably hurt less than it would somewhere else. That was Walmart's real power. It was the feeling that even if everything else in American life was getting more expensive, this was one place where the customer still had a little control. But that kind of trust is fragile. What it cannot survive forever is the feeling that the bargain is becoming harder to reach. And the first sign of that change is friction. A locked case does not look like a price increase. That is why it works as a hidden cost. You do not see it on the receipt. You feel it in the aisle. The item you came for is 2 feet away, close enough to read the label, close enough to compare the price, close enough to know exactly what you want, but you cannot touch it. Now the trip changes. You press it. You wait. You look down the aisle. A worker may come quickly, or not. Maybe the worker has a key. Maybe they have to call someone else. Maybe they are approved 3 departments, a return counter, and a self-checkout problem at the same time. None of this appears as a surcharge, but it is a charge in time, a charge in patience, a charge in the small frustration of standing inside one of the largest retail systems in the world, waiting for permission to buy a basic item. That is the friction tax. It does not hit every shopper equally. A parent may wonder why the store that used to make life easier now makes a simple errand feel like a negotiation. There are reasons for it. Retail theft is real. A locked case can reduce loss. That part makes business sense. But the customer does not experience business logic. The customer experiences the wait. And after enough waits, the message begins to change. Walmart used to say, "Come here and save money." Now sometimes it feels like the store is saying, "Come here, wait here, prove you belong here, and then maybe you can buy what you came for." Have you noticed this at your local Walmart? What was the first item you saw locked behind glass? Because waiting for a key is only the first way the work moved. Walmart did not eliminate the work. It relocated it. That is the part shoppers feel at checkout before they know how to say it. The work moved. From employee to customer. From payroll to checkout lane. From service desk to smartphone. From a person in a vest to a shopper who just wanted to get home. Walk through a modern self-checkout area and the shift is obvious. One employee watches 6 machines. Sometimes 8. Sometimes more. One barcode is folded. One customer needs approval. One shopper is confused by produce codes. One person is waiting for age verification. One machine is asking for help, while the employee is already helping someone else. And in the middle of it, the customer keeps working. Scan the item, bag the item, move the item, remove the item. The store still gets the sale. but the customer now performs a growing piece of the transaction. That might be acceptable if the bargain became clearer, if doing more work meant the cart felt cheaper, if the savings were obvious, if the receipt made the trade feel fair. But many shoppers experience the opposite. They do more. They wait more. They handle more of the process. Then they look at the total and wonder why the trip still feels expensive. That is where frustration lives, not only in the machine, not only in the line, but in the feeling that a job quietly moved across the counter and landed in the customer's hands. Walmart can call it efficiency, and in many ways it is. Self-checkout can move more people through fewer lanes. Apps can answer questions faster than a worker walking across the store. Automated systems can reduce labor costs and speed up operations. But efficiency for the store does not always feel like efficiency for the person. For the customer, it can feel like work. And the labor shift does not stop at checkout. The labor shift does not end when the receipt prints. It follows the shopper into the aisles, because the Walmart app is no longer just an extra tool. For many customers, it has become part of the store. You want to know where an item is? Check the app. You want to know if this location has it in stock? Check the app. You want to compare the online price to the shelf price? Check the app. You want a coupon? Check the app. You want pickup, delivery substitutions, aisle numbers, price checks, or product reviews while standing inside the building? Check the app again. For some shoppers, that works. A phone can be faster than looking for an employee. A barcode scan can answer a question. A pickup order can save a trip through the store. But the problem is not whether the technology works. The problem is what happens when the technology becomes the new expectation. Because not every shopper wants to shop through a phone. Not every shopper has a charged battery. Not every shopper is comfortable comparing prices on a screen while standing in an aisle. This matters most for the customers Walmart built its reputation on. Older shoppers, people who came to Walmart because it was supposed to be simple. The old store had employees. The new store has systems, and the systems often assume the customer will fill in the gaps. The app may be useful, but usefulness is not the same as service. When a store removes human help and replaces it with digital instructions, the customer may still get what they need, but the experience changes. It becomes colder, less certain, more dependent on whether the shopper knows how to use the system. That is a quiet kind of exclusion, not a locked door, not a sign that says you cannot shop here, just a store that slowly becomes harder for some people to use. And even when the shelves look full, another change is happening. A full shelf can be misleading. It can look like abundance. It can look like competition. It can look like the customer has more choices than ever. But choice is not only about how many boxes sit in front of you. Choice is about who controls the shelf. That is where Walmart has enormous power. The company does not only sell products, it controls the room where the decision happens. And when a retailer controls that much of the shopping environment, choice can be shaped long before the customer reaches for anything. A shopper may think they are choosing freely, but the store has already arranged the options. One brand gets a clean display. This does not mean every store-owned product is bad. Many shoppers like them. Some save money with them. Some families depend on them. Private labels can be useful, especially when national brands become too expensive. But the question is not whether store brands should exist. The question is, what happens when the store that controls the shelf also owns more of what is on it? Because Walmart is not just the referee, it is also one of the players. It sets the rules of the aisle. Then it competes inside the aisle, and the customer experiences that as choice, even when the choice has been quietly guided. That matters because Walmart built trust on the idea that the shopper was in control. Compare the prices, pick the cheaper one, fill the cart, save money, but if more of the shelf is designed to steer the shopper toward the store's preferred option, then the old bargain changes again. The customer may still save, but they may also have fewer real alternatives than the aisle suggests. The shelf looks full, the choice feels smaller. And then came the change that made trust even harder. The price itself started to feel less stable. A paper price tag felt simple. You saw the number. You trusted the number. You carried that number in your head while you kept shopping. Then you reached the register and expected the receipt to match the shelf. That was part of the old bargain. A digital price tag changes the psychology. Even if the price does not change while you are standing there, the customer now knows something different. The number can move. It can update. It can adjust. It can be changed from somewhere else. That does not mean every digital price is unfair. Digital tags can help a store correct errors faster. They can make updates easier. For the company, the logic is clear. But shoppers do not live inside company logic. They live inside the moment of doubt. Is this the real price? Was it different yesterday? Will it be different tomorrow? Did the store make this easier, or did it make the customer responsible for checking everything? That is where digital pricing becomes more than technology. It becomes trust. And Walmart cannot afford to make trust feel unstable. Because the store was never built on luxury. It was built on certainty. A family did not need to love the experience. They needed to believe the math. If the shelf says one thing, the app says another, the sign says roll back, the receipt says something slightly different, and the customer has to stand there trying to figure out which number is real, the old bargain starts to weaken. The feeling that saving money now requires constant attention. For some shoppers, that is manageable. For others, it is exhausting. And for older customers who built shopping habits over decades, the change can feel especially sharp. The store that once made the price feel obvious now makes the shopper verify it. That is a different relationship. Walmart may still be cheaper than many competitors, but cheap does not feel the same when the customer has to work harder to believe it. And that doubt lands hardest at the one place every shopper eventually faces. The receipt is where every promise becomes real. That thin strip of paper is where the customer finds out whether the trip still made sense. Because by the time a shopper reaches the exit, they have already paid in several ways. But the receipt is where the shopper asks the only question that matters. Was this still worth it? That question used to be easier, but if the total was low enough, the bargain survived. But now the rough edges feel different because the customer is not only tolerating inconvenience, the customer is performing more of the store. Then after all of that, the total still has to justify the effort. And for many shoppers, that is where the old trust starts to crack. It is not always one dramatic moment. It is the small pattern that builds over time. A grocery trip that used to feel predictable now feels uncertain. The customer leaves tired, annoyed, and not entirely sure they saved enough to make the trip feel worth it. That is the receipt test. Not just what did you pay, but what did the trip cost? And once the customer begins adding those costs together, Walmart's old promise becomes harder to measure because the store can still be cheaper on paper. It can still beat a competitor on certain items. It can still offer rollbacks, deals, and private labels that help families stretch a paycheck. But a bargain is not only a number. A bargain is a feeling that the trade was fair, and that feeling is what Walmart risks losing. To understand why we have to look at who Walmart is trying to become, first Walmart asked shoppers to wait. Then it asked shoppers to work. Then it asked shoppers to trust the system. Walmart did not stop selling low prices. It charged time. It charged labor. It charged trust. That is the change hiding inside the shopping trip. The bargain did not disappear. It became harder to calculate. A shopper can still walk into Walmart and find a cheaper item. A family can still stretch a paycheck there. That part matters. For millions of people, it matters a lot. But the old Walmart promise was never only about one item being cheaper. It was about confidence. The feeling that this was the place where the total would make sense. The place where the customer did not need to decode the store. The place where saving money did not require a strategy. That is what changed. Now the shopper has to do more math. Not only price math, time math, labor math, trust math. How long will I wait for the locked case? How many prices do I need to double check? How many deals only work through the app? How much of this trip is still service? And how much of it has become self-service? Those questions do not fit neatly on a receipt, but they shape how the store feels. And once a bargain starts to feel complicated, the relationship changes. The customer no longer walks in only asking, "What is the price?" They begin asking. That is a dangerous question for a company built on trust in low prices. Because Walmart's greatest strength was not just that it was big, it was that ordinary shoppers believed they understood the deal. Now the deal feels less obvious, but the shopper still knows what the trip felt like. More waiting, more scanning, more searching, more checking, more uncertainty, more work. That is the hidden cost. A slower change, a transfer, a shift from the store to the shopper. And the reason may be that Walmart is no longer speaking to only one kind of customer. Walmart used to know exactly who it was built for: the family stretching a paycheck, the worker shopping after a long shift, the parent comparing every price, the retired couple buying the same basics every week, the customer who did not need the store to feel premium. They needed the total to make sense. That customer is still there. But Walmart is also trying to speak to someone else now, a shopper with more choices, a store that feels less like a warehouse and more like a modern retail platform. That shift is not automatically wrong. A cleaner Walmart can be better, but every upgrade changes the relationship, because the old Walmart customer did not come for polish. They came for certainty. And when a store starts chasing a customer who wants polish, the old customer may begin to wonder whether the store is still being built around them. That is the quiet tension inside the new Walmart. But many shoppers want it to feel simpler. But many shoppers want more people on the floor. But many shoppers feel more work landing in their hands. The company wants private labels to look better. But many shoppers worry the choices are narrowing. The company wants the store to feel upgraded. But the customer still asks the same old question: did I save enough? That question is what made Walmart powerful. And if Walmart becomes cleaner, smarter, and more profitable, but the bargain feels harder to reach, then the company has solved one problem while creating another. It may win new customers, but it risks confusing the old ones. The people who built Walmart's empire were not looking for a luxury experience. They were looking for relief. And when relief starts to feel like work, the store begins to mean something different. Walmart is not just a store. For millions of Americans, it is a pressure gauge. It tells them how hard life feels before any government report does. A family may not know the official inflation rate. They may not follow retail earnings. They may not read supply chain reports. They may not know what private label margin means, but they know the cart. They know what milk used to cost. They know how much detergent was last year. They know when a bag of groceries feels lighter. They know when $100 no longer reaches as far as it used to. That is why changes inside Walmart feel bigger than normal business strategy. When a luxury store changes, some customers leave. When a specialty store raises prices, people may shop somewhere else. But Walmart sits closer to the center of American survival. It is where people buy the ordinary things, the basic inventory of keeping a household going. So when Walmart feels harder, life feels harder. When Walmart feels excellent practical, the economy feels less predictable. When Walmart asks shoppers to do more, people feel that as one more burden in a life already full of burdens. That is why a locked case can feel personal. That is why a frozen self-checkout machine can make someone angrier than the moment seems to deserve. That is why a confusing price can ruin the feeling of an entire trip. The frustration is not only about toothpaste. It is not only about a machine. It is not only about an app. It is about the fear that the last easy bargain in American life is becoming complicated too. For decades, Walmart told working families that size could protect them, and somehow that scale was supposed to show up as relief in the cart. But when the relief feels smaller, the scale starts to feel different. Less like protection, more like power. And that is why small changes inside Walmart can feel bigger than retail strategy. People can tolerate inconvenience when they believe the bargain is fair. That is the key. A long walk through the parking lot is tolerable if the cart costs less. A crowded aisle is tolerable if the total makes sense. A plain store is tolerable if the customer feels in control. But once the bargain becomes unclear, every inconvenience feels different. The locked case no longer feels like security. It feels like suspicion. The self-checkout no longer feels like speed. It feels like unpaid work. The app no longer feels like convenience. It feels like homework. The digital price no longer feels modern. It feels unstable. The store brand no longer feels like a cheaper option. It feels like the choice the aisle was built to push. That is the trust problem. Not that every change is bad. Not that every shopper hates technology. Not that Walmart suddenly stopped helping people save money. The problem is that the customer has to wonder more often. Am I saving money? Am I doing the store's work? Am I being watched? Am I being guided toward a product Walmart wants me to buy? Am I getting a real deal? Or am I just doing more for a bargain that feels smaller than it used to? Those questions change the shopping trip. They turn ordinary tasks into small moments of doubt. A shopper who once trusted the shelf now checks the app. A shopper who once trusted the checkout now watches the screen carefully. A shopper who once trusted the store to be simple now has to think through every step. This may seem small from a corporate office, but trust is built in small things. The price matching the shelf, the item being where it used to be, the cashier knowing what to do, the employee having time to help, the receipt feeling close to what the shopper expected. When those small things weaken the store does not collapse overnight. It just starts to feel different. Less like a place built around the customer, more like a system the customer has to navigate. That is why even improvements can feel suspicious. A cleaner aisle can still feel colder. A smarter app can still feel like more work. A faster checkout area can still feel stressful if the customer is the one doing the checking. A better-looking private label can still raise the question of what disappeared to make room for it. And once trust weakens, every upgrade has to prove itself. Not to investors, not to analysts, to the person standing in the aisle holding a cart wondering whether Walmart is still saving them enough to make all of this worth it. That is why this story does not stop at Walmart. This story does not stop at Walmart. That is what makes it bigger than one store. Across America, shoppers are seeing pieces of the same shift. At Target, everyday items can sit behind locked cases. At CVS and Walgreens, basic products can require a button, a wait, and an employee with a key. At grocery chains, self-checkout lanes keep expanding, while staffed lanes often feel harder to find. At dollar stores, shoppers still come for low prices, but the aisles can feel stretched, understaffed, and harder to navigate. At Kroger and other supermarket chains, digital coupons, loyalty apps, personalized deals, and electronic pricing systems are becoming part of the shopping experience. Different stores, different logos, same direction, more technology, more self-service, more locked products, more apps, more private labels, more systems that ask the customer to do part of the work. For some shoppers, this is progress. A younger customer may prefer scanning, ordering, tapping, and leaving quickly. A busy parent may love pickup. A person comfortable with apps may find the digital deals useful. A shopper who hates talking to employees may prefer doing everything alone. That experience is real. But another experience is real too. The older shopper who just wants a cashier. The worker who does not have time to wait for a locked case. The parent whose phone battery is dying. The customer who misses the days when the shelf, the price, and the register all felt like the same conversation. The person who does not want every errand to become another small test of digital skill. That is why this shift matters. Retail is not just changing what people buy, it is changing what people are expected to do before they can buy it. And Walmart matters because it sits at the center of that change. It is big enough that when Walmart changes the deal, the rest of American shopping starts to feel different too. The checkout line is changing everywhere. So the final question is not whether Walmart changed. It did. The real question is, who the change is serving. Is technology making the trip easier, or is it making the customer responsible for more of the trip? Is self-checkout giving shoppers speed, or moving labor off the payroll and into the customer's hands? Are apps giving people better deals, or making savings harder to access for anyone who does not want to shop through a screen? Are store brands helping families save money, or narrowing the shelf while making the choices look bigger than they are? Are locked cases protecting the store, or making honest customers pay a friction tax for problems they did not create? Those questions do not have one simple answer. That is why this story matters, because some of these changes really do help. Some shoppers like self-checkout, some shoppers like pickup, some shoppers like the app. Some shoppers depend on store brands. Some shoppers may walk into a remodeled Walmart and feel the store finally looks better than it used to. But a retail system can improve in ways that still leave people behind, especially the people who came to Walmart because it was supposed to be easy, simple, cheap, predictable. Tell us in the comments what changed first at your Walmart. Was it the locked cases, the self-checkout, the app, the digital prices, the missing brands, the smaller number of cashiers, or just the feeling that the store somehow became harder to use? And tell us where you are watching from, because this looks different in different parts of the country. A Walmart in a small town does not always feel like a Walmart in a big city. A store in a high-theft area does not feel like a store in a quiet suburb. A remodeled location does not feel like one that still looks frozen in 2008. But underneath those differences is the same choice. Walmart can use technology to make the bargain clearer, or it can use technology to make the customer do more of the work. It can make prices easier to trust, or make shoppers check everything twice. It can protect the store without making everyone feel suspected, or it can turn every aisle into another small test of patience. By 2030, Walmart will either be the store that proves technology can still serve working families, or the store that taught shoppers to work harder for the same bargain. The choice in some small way is also yours, because in the end, the story comes back to the cart. The cart still looks familiar. Milk, bread, laundry detergent, the ordinary things of American life. The things people buy not because they are exciting, but because a household cannot run without them. That is why Walmart matters. It sits close to the daily math of American families, close to the paycheck, close to the grocery list, close to the medicine cabinet, close to the child who needs new shoes, close to the parent trying to make one trip solve 10 problems. And that is why the change feels so personal. The store may look cleaner. The app may work better. The shelves may look more modern. The self-checkout area may move more people through fewer lanes. The company may call it efficiency, but the shopper feels the trip. They feel the locked case. They feel the missing cashier. They feel the app. They feel the price doubt. They feel the machine asking for help. They feel the receipt at the end. And they know whether the bargain still feels fair. That is the question Walmart has to answer now. Not only whether the prices are low, but whether the experience still feels worth it. Because the old Walmart deal was never beautiful. It was never perfect. It was never supposed to be. It was simple. Come here. Spend less. Leave with what you need. The new deal is more complicated. Come here. Wait more. Scan more. Search more. Check more. Trust the system. Do some of the work. Then hope the receipt still proves it was worth it. Maybe for some shoppers it still does. Maybe for others the answer is starting to change. But once enough people begin asking that question, Walmart is no longer just managing prices. It is managing trust. And trust is harder to rebuild than a checkout lane. Walmart did not stop selling low prices. It started charging shoppers in other ways. Disclaimer: this documentary is for educational and journalistic purposes only. It discusses homelessness, poverty, mental health, addiction-related issues, housing policy, and public spending. Composite characters are based on patterns from public records, housing research, shelter data, court filings, and published case studies. They are not intended to identify any specific private individual. This video does not promote illegal activity, drug use, harassment, or harmful behavior. Some footage has been edited or blurred for privacy, safety, and compliance with YouTube community guidelines.